I have recently come to the realization that the adult mind is not easily impressed. Like, for example, I went and saw the Niagara Falls this weekend, and it is something I've been putting off for at least 2 years now. Putting off because I wanted everything to be right before I go. Because um, I thought of it as such a unique experience that when I do go, I want to actually have a good time. And when I went there, um, the first thing is I saw the smaller of the two waterfalls. I believe there are two waterfalls. I might be wrong. But the first one I saw was the smaller one, and yeah, it was cool to see it. I was, well, mildly impressed. But I had previously had higher expectations for the falls. But that's beside the point. Um, I eventually saw the second one, the bigger one, and I was more impressed by that. But even then, the feeling that it elicited in me, the feeling of awe, the feeling of, reverence, that I felt when I beheld the majestic um, Niagara Falls is nowhere near as uh, big or nowhere near as impressive as I previously thought it was going to be. And I realized it is because as we grow up, we become increasingly difficult to impress, especially with things like just going out and having a good time. Um, I think this has to do with, responsibilities, distractions, quote unquote distractions, because in reality, they are priorities. And when I say priorities, I don't say they come before having a good time. Not necessarily. Because having a good time is also a priority. It just depends which one you hold in higher priority. Yeah, I might be botching the grammatical aspect of it here, but my point is, um, I went to Niagara Falls with a friend and his family. That was last week. We had a good time. We were there for just that one day. We arrived around 2 p.m. and then we took off around 7. So that's about 5 hours. And that's not nearly enough time to actually enjoy the place. And of course, we had to come back because there were many reasons. One, my friend had only had a few days here, so there was that. And then two, staying there would have been more expensive. Staying there, like booking a hotel and everything, would have been more expensive, would have involved more logistically speaking. But even though this was not the reason, of course, I have a job. I'm grateful for that. I can afford to take a weekend or even a week paying for a hotel and have a good time. Yeah, but if you take all the other factors together, the money will also count as one of the reasons we didn't, stay there. And then thirdly, I am a software developer and it's not an easy job. Sometimes, even when I'm not working, I have to assign a certain proportion of my brain. It might be just subconscious, but some part of my brain, there's one clock that will always tick. Hey, Monday, I need to resume work. Monday, I need to resume work. There's this project. We have the deadline on so and so day. I need to make sure that I finish this amount of work before then. That kind of thing. And then that's just a fraction of the quote unquote distractions that an adult has. Because right now, at this stage in my life, I have to think about investing the money that I'm making from my job. so that I don't work forever, saving for my retirement, planning for my home, right? Um, Things like taking good care of my health, investing well in my like self-development and so on, right? Going to the gym, even though I'm not doing any of that now. Yeah, I plan on doing something, but it's something that even though I haven't started doing it, yeah, it's like a clock on my conscience. There is, for any adult that cares about living a productive life, productive like in like all round productive, because some people are comfortable just sacrificing one aspect of their life, like I'm not going to have a wife, I'm not going to get married, I'm not going to have children, and that gives them a little bit of bandwidth, so their clock for that particular aspect, for that particular area of their life is off, so they have bandwidth, they have the presence, the patience to enjoy other experiences. Yeah, but some of us, we choose to have a family. It means we are going to have at least a few extra clocks that are going to be ticking at the back of our mind, ticking at the back of our mind, to the point where when we go out to have a good time, when we go out to like for some leisure, we have to think, what is the family going to feed on? That's like a very basic example. Like, how are we taking care of our health in the family? Like all of those things. When we want to pay for an experience, for example, we went zip lining, we went on a boat, or I wouldn't say cruise, but we took a boat and went near the waterfalls. Yeah, but all of those cost money. Yeah, so when we are paying for that, we know that the money that we have earned, the money that I have, right, I have to have a budget, and the budget has to account for not only that boat cruise, but also kids' education, mortgage, and so on. Yeah, that's the money aspect. Let's say I had all the money in the world to enjoy, like to pay for all of those things without really giving it a thought. Uh, but yeah, that's the joy that riches brings, right? Money brings happiness. That's a popular saying. I think that's the kind of happiness that it brings. It gives you bandwidth. You don't have to think about that. That clock is forever short, stopped, right? At least forever to within reasonable, yeah, circumstances. So you can say that one, you never think about money, about budgeting again. So that frees your mind. That gives you time to like enjoy your life, pay more attention to the experiences rather than what they cost you. Yeah, I feel like I was derailing from my point. Yeah, but for us, yeah, right, we will think about the cost and everything. And this thinking about the cost, thinking about the budgeting and everything kind of distracts us from like taking in the joy, taking in the enjoyment, the entertainment that that experience is supposed to offer to us. That's why, um, if you take this argument, if you take this scenario, right, and you put it in another circumstance, you see that it's very expensive to be poor, to be broke, because a broke person will torture themselves before they afford themselves some pleasure, before they take care of themselves. So, as adults, we have to be very proactive towards having a good time. We have to reprogram our mind, our mindset. We have to get into the mindset where we regard leisurely activities, entertainments, like going out for a weekend at Niagara or some such um outing as a very necessary uh expenditure, a very necessary activity for our joy. You have to make it like your part-time job to feed well, to entertain yourself well, to go out and have a good time. And it's really funny. I started this video talking about how the adult mind is not easily impressed. Yeah, when I went to the Niagara Falls, I live in downtown Toronto, and when I go out for a walk, sometimes, like, it's been over 2 years since I came to this city, and every time, like, I go out for a walk when the weather is good and everything, like, I really have a good time. I really appreciate the, like, the imposing, the skyscrapers, especially the really tall ones. I really appreciate them. They fill me with awe. Yeah, they still fill me with awe. I've never grown used to them. They still fill me with awe. And when I went to the Niagara Falls, it felt like just another one of such experiences. All right. So we have seen, as you grow older, you experience things, you experience a lot, and you have a portfolio of experiences that you always require something that will top the previous experiences before it gives you a significant boost in joy, in satisfaction, and so on. Yeah, that's not always the case, but sometimes, yeah, that's how it feels, at least for me. So it doesn't mean that you should just, lock yourself up in the house and never go out for fun again because you've already experienced all that there is to experience. First of all, that's not true. I don't think there's anyone that can confidently say that. There's always something that, you know, uh, that, is that we really need, even though we don't know that we need. For some people, it might be in the opposite direction. Like these experiences that they really need, it might be in the opposite direction. For example, maybe yeah, I have been impressed by the skyscrapers here. I have, traveled a bit and seen a few things. I went to the Taj Mahal. I was impressed by the history and the building and the marble or whatever that they used for the Taj Mahal. I've been to Qutub Minar. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well, but it's in New Delhi, India, and I was impressed by the rocks and everything. Yeah, so all of those kind of give me a certain baseline of exposure that I'll require something better to actually top that feeling. Yeah, so it means that in order to really have a good time, one needs to train him or herself. I need to train myself to be intentional about it, to be disciplined, and to create strategic hedges. Like for things like finance, it's good to have a budget because it creates a strategic hedge for you so that when you're spending, you know that you're within budget and you don't have to think. But those are just, mm, minor ways in which you can manage it. The best way, really, at least for the financial aspect, is to just get filthy rich, get stupid rich to the extent where you don't have to think about that. Okay. But that's just one way. And another way is to curb your appetite for those things. Yeah, because if, you know, that's just one way. Appreciate the smaller things in life, the simpler things. Yeah, I was saying that for some people, those experiences, those grand experiences, might really not be what they need. They might need something as simple as, putting on their cowboy attire, their boots and their hat and everything, and then going to a ranch, right? Maybe in the spring season or something, when it's raining and there is mud, and they will like, here go and smell cow dung and freshly cut grass and all of those, experiences, and hear the sounds of chirping birds, and yeah, those simple things, right? Those things that are so serene, they ground you in nature. They have something poetic, like some poetry. Yeah, something like that. Um, there is always something that you can really enjoy. Yeah. And I'm trying to conclude here. Um, there is always something you can enjoy. Okay, the reason I wasn't arriving at a conclusion is that there is one other important point I wanted to make. Usually, when you go out to have a good time, a lot of people criticize those who are too obsessed with taking pictures and videos, right? They tell you, put the phone away and enjoy the moment. Put the phone away and enjoy the moment. Uh, I used to think like that too, but now, not anymore. Because when I look back at the last, let's say, 8 years or so, yeah, the nostalgic feeling of going through my phone and looking at pictures, like I enjoy the moment. I enjoy looking at those pictures more than I I enjoyed having the actual experiences. Yeah, I think maybe it's just who I am. I am more nostalgic. I like to reminisce too much. But um I'm open to hearing what you think. Maybe if you can drop in the comments. But if I go for like these Niagara Falls, for example, when I went there, like I said, I wasn't super impressed, or at least it didn't the feeling that it elicited in me, it didn't meet my expectations. But um like 3 years down the road, for example, oh, when I look at those pictures, I'm going to be I'm going to be yearning for that moment, right? Not really the experience itself, but yeah, it would be like some um sacred uh like some sacred uh piece of space time in the past. It's like literally visiting the past. Like in some micro sense, it gives me a glimpse of what it might feel like to go back to the past, to go and stand and watch yourself do all those things again. So that's why I really, really like it. That's why I really, really enjoy my pictures. Yeah, I have so many pictures that I go back to them from time to time, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. It looks like I'm looking at someone else. Like this wasn't me, right? And I think that's just what nostalgia is. You are detached from the experience, and usually, and here's the funny thing, usually, sometimes even sad, even memories are supposed to be sad. They fill you with a certain quiet joy. It feels almost melancholic. Okay, it's not, I wouldn't say melancholic. You develop a certain positive sympathy. You look at it like you're looking at someone you really love. All right. You look at yourself, I mean, um, you remember those moments, even if they were difficult, even if you were going through a lot, you look at it with pride, a certain pride and gratitude. And you're like, oh my God, if only he knew what was. in the future or how things will turn out or stuff like that. Yeah, but usually sad memories take a certain optimistic hue when you look at them in the past. There is one interesting quote by Marquez. I've forgotten his name, but he wrote this book titled Love in the Time of Corella. If I find the book before I upload, if I find the quote before I upload this video, I'm going to put it here. Yeah, I'm going to put it here for you. And I think that's a good note to end this video on. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're actually enjoying your life. And yeah, just I just hope you're making the best of it, of every moment. You're appreciating that life because it's short. It is it's like the mist. I think the Bible says it. It's like the mist that appears in the morning and is gone when the sun comes out. I just learned earlier today, of the passing of Liverpool forward Diogo Jota. That was really sad. And in June alone, I've learned of about three, at least three deaths, all of them tragic. Just young people, some short. So anyway, sorry that I did not give a disclaimer for these sad stories. This video, I usually just go with the flow. I don't have a cue to end it. I was supposed to end at maybe 15 minutes or so, but here I am at the 20 something minute mark. Yeah, but anyway, enjoy your life and live every moment as if it's going to be your last. Don't blast through your savings because of that quote or because of what I said. But yeah, enjoy your life and know that it could be, you know, know that, um, yeah, we only get to live once, so let's make it count. Yeah. What else? What else? What else? Okay. I'll be making these videos regularly, so this is not the only chance I have to say everything that's on my mind. But if you have watched this video up to this point, it means so much to me. I don't want, like, you can just, if you can do me another favor, drop a comment and say you watched it to the end or you listened to it to the end. Just I just want to have the satisfaction of knowing that it was at least worth that while. Yeah, and the purpose for making these videos again is for me to share my life experiences, and hope that it will inspire someone, and then at the same time train myself to speak, to share, to communicate more clearly in a way that creates impact. Yeah, so thank you very much for following me on this journey, and yeah, peace out.